Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Study Different Majors in the United States. Today, we will focus on study computer science and computer system engineering in the United States. My name is Hani, and I am the Education USA advisor in the Czech Republic in Prague. And today, I've got two special guests, Sisi and Izzy, who are currently English teaching assistants in Slovakia. Girls, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you so much for introducing your majors.
Thank you for having us. So we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves, and I will go first. So my name is Sienna Cirio, but I often go by Cece, so you'll see that throughout the presentation. I graduated from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County in Maryland in May of 2023, so this past year. I majored in computer science on the artificial intelligence and machine learning track, and I minored in applied linguistics, which matched very well with me coming here to Slovakia to teach English. And I'm based in Žilina.
My name is Isabella Werner, and I recently graduated from Arizona State University on the ASU Tempe campus in May 2023. I majored in computer systems engineering with a concentration in cybersecurity. I'm also a teaching English assistant in Slovakia, and I am based in Sachoce.
Great. So we're going to start by defining each of our majors. So first, computer science. Computer science is essentially the study of computers and computing systems, and it's often abbreviated as comp sci. So this includes the theoretical and algorithmic foundations, so how we talk about it in regular speech and how they work mathematically, as well as the hardware, which is the physical components, and the software, so how the programs run via the code that you use, and their uses for processing information. As a degree field, computer science majors mainly focus on the theoretical, algorithmic, and programming side of computers. So it's more of the coding and how to form code, and instead of the hardware side of things.
Perfect. And just like Cece was saying, the main difference between computer systems engineering and computer science is that CSE focuses more on hardware. So this includes studying computer organization and architecture, systems programming, operating systems, and digital hardware design. They also work on computer networks for the transmission of data and multimedia. Computer engineers work on the development, verification, and testing of computer hardware and software from chips to device controllers and embedded systems. So this over here is an example of a chip that we would code for.
So a couple of things to keep in mind when you're looking to apply for university is how you can stand out or be ready to go into the major that you're thinking about. So for me, what I did to boost my college application was getting involved really early in extracurricular activities or after school activities. That this included honor societies for math, social studies, or the National Honor Society. And these organizations recognize your academic skills and it helps work in community engagement. This can be different depending on where you live, so it might not be the same where you are, but you might find some clubs or some after school activities that you can do in your area. You can also volunteer, so helping in your school or local community. I helped out at a local arts center with their events that they hosted. I also tutored other students, so helping other students at my school and the local middle school learn. And I was involved in band and chorus, making music either with an instrument or through singing. I also took a class called AP Computer Science Principles, which is where I had my first introduction to learning programming languages, and I learned Python. And so practicing was making small projects and developing my skills was something that I started before college in order to be ready to take on the computer science major. And so I also tried learning some new coding languages not so easily on my own and took some more advanced math courses that would help me later on in college so that I was better prepared for those classes in the future. So, other things that you can do to boost your college application is also take some IT or computer classes in your school if they offer them. You can also find online courses that teach you about programming if you are interested in that and can't find it in your school. And also taking higher level math classes because those are something that you will need to take if you do end up studying in the United States. If you already know a little bit about computers, you can practice making your own projects and learning new techniques on your own through YouTube. They have some really great free online resources on YouTube to learn coding. You can also maybe find a club or a group near you where they code or help learn from each other, or even find a small company that will let you intern and who can teach you about the industry if you like.
That's really cool. I'm just going to add very quickly that, guys, AP classes is not something that's usually offered at your high school, especially in the Czech Republic, probably not in Slovakia either. But in the Czech Republic, you can definitely go to Centrum pro talentovanou mládež, where they offer AP classes. So it is something that will shine on your application. And as CC said, it's going to boost your application and it's going to show that you did something extra except for your high school studies. So an internship, come on, that's lovely, or summer school. So yeah, if you need any help with finding an internship or applying for summer school, Education USA is here to help, or these girls can definitely also help. Thank you.
Perfect. So I'm just going to piggyback on some of the things that I did because when I was in high school, I wasn't exactly clear that I wanted to do a computer systems pathway. So similar to CC, I was involved in extracurriculars throughout high school, the National Honor Society, which helps focusing on developing leadership skills and community engagement. So those are two key things that help you boost your application is finding ways to be a leader in your community. I was also involved in sports and speech and debate, so public speaking will also help you moving forward throughout your university career. And then I was also involved in choir. One other thing that I did was I applied for scholarships to kind of help alleviate the stress of the cost of attendance for university. So having some scholarships going into college was really helpful to give me the confidence that I wouldn't have to be super stressed about paying the cost. And the other thing that I tried to do was to shadow potential careers I was interested in. So my parents were both in healthcare, and I thought I was going to go into healthcare, but after shadowing, I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do, and I kind of paved my own path into technology because I thought that was interesting. So getting some experience talking to people who are already working in jobs that I'm interested in was super helpful. Some tips that I have for what you can do, similar to CC again, is starting to explore online resources to learn the basics of coding. So I learned JavaScript for the first time at university, but everyone else around me seemed to already know a little bit of the basics. So I felt like I was behind playing catch up, but it's definitely still possible. So don't be discouraged if you're still starting out and you try it for the first time at university. I did it. It was kind of difficult, not gonna lie, but the more practice you have, you can help work you through the process. So I would suggest trying to build your own mini games or projects by following a step-by-step tutorial on YouTube. I would suggest free code camp. So they have free online projects that you can just follow step by step, and it gives you more confidence in your ability to code. I would also try out some interview questions that real companies use to get an idea of how programmers think. So the one that I use a lot is called LeetCode. They give you some problem solving challenges, and you have all the time in the world on your own to spend practicing them. And then my biggest tip is to learn by doing. So it's okay if you struggle in the beginning. I promise with practice, you will surprise yourself. And I still surprise myself every day I code. So the more practice, the better. And it definitely boosts your confidence.
Thank you so much for the tips, Izzy. I'm going to go back to your scholarship bullet points because that's something that is really interesting for international students. Did you get a merit-based scholarship at Arizona State University?
I did. So at Arizona State, I think almost every student will get some sort of merit-based scholarship based off of their grades from high school. So they offer a lot
Was
of
it
them.
only your grades, or would you suggest that participating on Olympiads or other competitions would be also beneficial for students?
Definitely. They're always looking for well-rounded students. So if you're participating in anything that your school is offering, or kind of like I suggested on the left side of the screen, things that just show that you're interested and motivated to be involved with other people. It always helps boost your application.
Awesome. And one last question regarding your background is that I see that you did a lot of sports. Were there any thoughts about you joining the division that the University of Arizona or Arizona State has and maybe applying for a sports scholarship, or this was not an option for you?
I started with soccer, for example, when I was in 6th grade. So I think if I would have kept going with it and I joined a club team and I probably could have developed my skills a little bit more, that definitely could have been an option. And I know I have a lot of friends who have pursued athletic careers, I guess, at university. So that's definitely another way to help pay for school is being an athlete at a university. And it's a popular option. So it happens for a lot of people, but I didn't pursue that track. But yeah.
Is Arizona State a Division I school?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
might,
All right.
yeah.
That's okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to talk about some of the well-known universities in computer science. So we'll start with the first one is MIT. Most people know about MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And then I'm going to list the other four. So the next four, Carnegie Mellon University, Berkeley University of California, Stanford University, and the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. They are the top 5 universities in the US that have computer science programs. So if you're interested in going specifically to the US, these are the top 5 with the highest rated programs. Of course, other universities like my own, UMBC, and even probably Izzy's university have great computer science programs, but if you're looking for what people would consider the top of the food chain in terms of programs, these are the top 5. But there are some other international universities that are also great. So there's ETH in Zurich. I'm going to butcher these pronunciations, so you can probably read them better yourself. But the Tsinghua University in China, the National University of Singapore, and the Nanyang Technology University in Singapore, University of Oxford in the UK, and University of Technology in Sydney, Australia. So these are all universities that are of the top in computer science programs.
And so, Sissy, did you also apply outside of the United States?
I did not, but I considered it. I considered applying, maybe not the University of Oxford, but for some in the UK because it would have probably been easier for me to learn in another English-speaking country. But I ended up not doing it, just for financial reasons, but it was definitely something that I thought about.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So let's move on to talk about more about how we chose the universities that we went to. So for me, I had 4 big priorities. First was the cost. I knew I wanted to attend a university that I considered affordable, which was ideally below $30,000 per year. And I hoped for them to be able to provide me any financial support and some scholarships, similar to how Izzy had her merit scholarships. I also wanted to be somewhere in my state because when you go to a university in your state, when you live in the US, it is typically lower in cost for you to go there. And so I also wanted to be close to my family because my family is a big part of my life and I wanted to be able to see them and not have to worry about spending hundreds of dollars to fly back home. So that's another reason why I didn't go abroad, but it was on my list. The size of the university was also important to me. I wanted a medium-sized school, not somewhere too big where I felt like I get lost in all of the students, but not somewhere too small where I felt like I wasn't meeting new people and I wasn't getting involved enough in my community. So that was another big factor for me. And the last big factor was the program that I was going to study in. I knew I wanted to study computer science going to school, but I wanted to go somewhere that had a relatively good computer science program and one that could provide connections for me to stand out and work in my community moving forward. And I'll talk a little bit more about how that ties into the university that I chose.
I do have some follow-up questions for you, Sissy.
Yeah.
So actually for the international students who are watching right now, either from the Czech Republic or Slovakia, guys, the location, you will always be charged out-of-state tuition.
Yeah.
unless you have dual citizenship or anything. But if you look at the financial aid, it's going to be out of state tuition for you. But Sissy, I wanted to ask about the size. You said medium-sized schools, which I am sure means something completely different in this environment and not in the US. So how many students approximately are we talking about?
So medium size is very relative. It So I would consider a small university to be a university that has less than 5,000 students. That
Mhm.
sounds like a lot, but in terms of your campus community, it is relatively small compared to how many other universities have more than 5,000 people.
Mhm.
My university that I went to had around 13,000 students total, 11,000 in the undergraduate programs, so those that were getting bachelor's degrees, and
Mhm.
that is considered a medium-sized school.
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly the cutoff for what is considered a large school. I think it's either 20 or 30,000, but it's a
Mhm.
very big difference. So in my school, in terms of size as well physically, is one
Mhm.
big circle. So it was really nice because if you got lost on the circle, you just had to go around the circle again to go back to find where you were trying to get before. Um, and I think that the amount of people that were on campus all the time, sometimes it would be like pretty sparse. Like there wouldn't be a ton of people out and about, but when classes let out, it was like a stampede of students trying to get to and from classes. But I always saw someone that I knew when I was going somewhere. So me and my friends had a running joke that I knew everybody on my campus because whenever we'd walk anywhere, I would say hi to at least 3 or 4 people on our way to class. And so I was really something for me to be able to make those connections and know part of my community, but not have to
Mhm.
know everybody at my school.
Sure. And one last question would be about the program. Are the students at your school able to apply undecided and then, like, even though they were undecided in the beginning, graduate in computer science?
Yes, 100%. A lot of students come into university in general undecided, and
Mhm.
that's, I guess, a perk of going to school in the United States. And
Mhm.
it's really easy at my university to also change your major. So I know Izzy said that she changed her major. I had several friends who changed their major, including one of my closest friends who changed their major in the first week of being at university. So if you come in undecided, and you don't want to declare a major in your first year, that is 100% fine. There are what we call general education program requirements that
Mhm.
universities have, where it's very basic classes that they expect you to take that everybody takes. And you can kind of choose the types of classes, but they fall under specific categories. So for the first year, you could take those types of exploratory courses and try to figure out what you want to do. And then in your sophomore or even maybe the beginning of your junior year, you decide that you would like to take computer science. You can still declare it and still probably finish within what we would normally consider the normal amount of time that you would spend at
Mhm.
university, which is about 4 years. So you can definitely join the program a little bit later.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so now I'll talk about some of my reasons for going to Arizona State University. So in the picture, it's my mom, my grandpa, and me graduating from high school. We're all doing the forks up. So that's the kind of hand signal for ASU. So ASU was actually the only school that I applied for because out of high school, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So since my mom and grandpa both attended, I decided I was going there. Location was also important for me at the time. I didn't have a desire to leave Arizona, and my parents' house was down the street from the Tempe campus, so it just kind of made sense for me. And kind of how I mentioned before, I started university as an exploratory math, physical sciences, engineering, and technology major because I was not clear on what I wanted to study, but I was able to start my general studies, which was great. The size I didn't really consider, but now looking back, it was interesting choice for myself. I went to a very small high school. My graduating class was 47, so I was interested in meeting new people. And ASU is one of the largest universities in the United States, so I definitely got my wish granted by attending ASU. But in high school, I wasn't really thinking about what I wanted out of university. It was just kind of me following what I was supposed to do next. And I think looking back in hindsight, it was a good choice, and I'm glad that I went there. But I would definitely suggest looking at other universities during your search because it's nice to see what options are available. I remember my second semester, I kind of thought, maybe I should have looked at other options, but I ended up joining the honors college that's a part of ASU. So I'll be comparing those in the next couple slides to kind of give you more insight to other options that were available at ASU since it's such a big university.
It is amazing. And I would just like to point out for the international students to maybe also consider where the nearest international airport is located, because you guys will be traveling, you know, and if your university or college is in the middle of nowhere, it will cost you a little extra to get there, you know. So those are some tiny things that can make a big difference for you. So just, you know, I'm sure that there is, you know, airport in Arizona, which is going to be fine, but you know, sometimes can be more challenging. So take that into account.
There is an Phoenix International Airport in Arizona. Just throwing that out there.
Awesome.
Okay, great. So for the next portion, we're going to talk about the universities, or in this case for Isabella, the university programs that we chose. For me, the two that I was most between that were in my state were the University of Maryland College Park, which is Maryland's biggest university and their main like state representative university, and it's often University of Maryland, Baltimore County, which is where I went, is often confused to be a part of the University of Maryland College Park because they both start with the same first portion, University of Maryland, and they both have similar logos because if you know anything about Maryland, we love putting our flag anywhere we can. So they both have our flag in it, and so people were very confused and thought that I was going to the University of Maryland College Park, but I did in fact choose University of Maryland, Baltimore County. But I'll talk about what University of Maryland College Park has to offer because I do think it is a really great option. So the University of Maryland is the flagship institution of the University System of Maryland. It is also the largest university in the state and in my state and the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. So if you didn't know, Maryland is very close to our state capital, and so it's very intriguing for many people to go to UMB or UMD because of that reason. The tuition is around $11,505, which is actually less than University of Maryland, Baltimore County, but they have a much bigger university, so this one has about 30,000 students, and the location is in College Park, Maryland, which was about an hour and a half drive away from my house. And so I'll compare that in a moment. I did get a merit scholarship offer from University of Maryland College Park, which is also another reason why I considered it pretty highly. So similar to Isabella, that was part of what I wanted to consider when I was looking at where I wanted to go. The computer science program is around 3,000 students enrolled, which is actually pretty comparable to the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. And they had four computer science tracks: cybersecurity, data science, quantum information, and machine learning. The University of Maryland, Baltimore County is a public research university in Catonsville, Maryland, and it was established as a part of the University of Maryland in 1966. So in terms of universities, that is pretty young. So we have not been around for very long, and part of that means that we don't have so many traditions. So if you want to go to a university, if you're looking at either of these universities, University of Maryland College Park has more traditions and is more well known in the community, but UMBC is like its modern cousin. So it's become the first public university in Maryland to be inclusive of all races, and I'll talk about its intrigue for international students in a little bit. The tuition is slightly higher at University of Maryland, Baltimore County, but not by much, and it was pretty affordable for me since I was looking for something under 30,000 a year. The undergraduate enrollment, like I mentioned before, is close to 11,000, and the location was only 45 minutes away from my house, which was more intriguing to me than an hour and a half. The merit scholarship that I got at UMBC was much bigger. It was almost twice as much as I had been offered at University of Maryland College Park, so that is what really persuaded me to want to go to UMBC. And the computer science program is less than 2,000 students, but they have strong connections with other companies in Maryland and the surrounding area, and they teach more practical skills than they do at University of Maryland College Park. So the computer science program tracks that they have are cybersecurity, data science, game development, and artificial intelligence and machine learning. So one of the big, oh, sorry.
No, you go
Yeah.
ahead.
The computer science track that I ended up choosing, which was artificial intelligence and machine learning, was not actually a thing when I started, but they added it. So that's the reason I ended up doing that major. I did consider doing game development. But the main thing that I would say is nice about University of Maryland, Baltimore County is that it's only like 10 minutes away from the nearest international airport, which is Baltimore Washington International Air. I think there's another part of that, the international airport. But so you can really easily like travel from that airport. The other bigger international airport is called Dulles International Airport, and that's about a 2-hour drive away. But it's really nice to be able to be so close to the airports because then you don't have to spend so much time getting a taxi or an Uber when you can take like a 10-minute Uber down to the BWI airport.
Sure. I just wanted to point out to the international students who are watching us is that tuition is not the only part that you will have to pay because
Yes.
we don't have the experience with that in the Czech Republic. Students usually at public universities don't pay tuition. So guys, there is tuition, which is translated as školné, but then you have to pay room and board, meaning for you, you're gonna stay there, live there, you're gonna have to eat there. And for you, again, it's books so that you can study, and then plane tickets and insurance. So I know that Cici said she had a budget of 30,000 US dollars, but this is just a little chunk of the entire budget. So if you need to look at the entire price that you will be asked to pay or to show, you usually type in the name of the school, and then you are looking for total cost of attendance. And that will show you all the finances that you will have to have unless you get any scholarship. Thank you, Cici.
Yeah, of course. So I did end up choosing University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I was very excited because I had some friends that were going there as well, and it was really, really fun for me. I know this is going to be different for international students, but I got to visit the campus because I'm from Maryland, and that played a really big part of my choice. Because when I visited University of Maryland College Park, I was very overwhelmed. There were a lot of people, the buildings were very spread out, and I felt like I would get really lost really easily. I know that over time it would have gotten easier, but in my head, when I went to UMBC, everything, like I mentioned, is in a big circle, and there's one half of campus that is the academic buildings, and the other half that is very clearly the residential side of campus. And all the people were so nice to me, and they had so many different things to offer. So I felt very like at home at UMBC. So all of the things that I talked about already and my experience being on the campus is what made me choose this campus. So very excited, happy about my choice.
Guys, I know that it is not really an option for you to visit the US campuses, but there are some virtual tours available. And, if you are in the US, please, make sure that you visit those places. But if you're not, we do have virtual reality goggles in the office here, even in the Czech Republic, even in Slovakia. So I can put you, you can put it on with the virtual tour, and you can at least like walk on campus virtually, which is possible. So anything that we can make it a little more approachable to you, we're here.
Yes, my university definitely has a 360-degree virtual tour that I have viewed myself. So it's great.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to talk about Arizona State University. They have 5 campuses, so I keep listing Tempe campus. That is just one of the 5. There's a downtown, a west, Polytechnic, and then Lake Havasu location. So large university spread out over 5 campuses, but ASU is a comprehensive public research university measured by whom it measured not by whom it excludes, but by whom it includes, and how they succeed advancing research and discovery of public value, and assuming fundamental responsibility for the economic, social, cultural, and overall health of the communities it serves. So ASU ranked #1 public university chosen by international students. So there are a lot of international students attending ASU currently. So like Cece was mentioning, my school is a little bit larger than the medium-sized school. So the undergraduate enrollment is 65,492 this past year. So a lot of students. We have an online presence as well. So the total amount of students is, there are a lot physically on the campus, but there are also a lot attending online virtually. So whatever fits your needs. The engineering school at Arizona State is called Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering. So that is the school that you would be housed in with a computer science or computer systems engineer degree. So in that college, there's around 22,901 undergraduate students enrolled. So a decent amount out of the total undergraduate students at ASU are taking engineering majors. So like I mentioned before, I started out on the exploratory track because I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do. And then I actually declared computer science originally. And then I switched my second year, I think, to computer systems engineering after taking some more classes because I felt I learned better with the physical hands-on learning versus just programming software. But you do both in both majors. So computer science is offered at the Tempe campus and online, and students may choose a concentration. You don't have to, but for the computer science track, there's cybersecurity and software engineering. And then for the major that I chose, computer systems engineering, it's only offered at the Tempe campus, taken physically, not online. And students may choose a concentration, which I did, which was the cybersecurity. And the reason why I chose the concentration was during the class that I had to take while I was on the exploratory track, they had us go and shadow at different companies. So I chose PayPal and they're focused on security. And I talked to an engineer there and he really made me excited about the possibilities of jobs in cybersecurity, and that kind of pushed me in that direction. But I also have a lot of friends that picked the software engineering and they just did computer science and they loved it too. So it's kind of a personal choice of what interests you. And after my first semester at ASU, it is a big, big school, and I kind of felt like a lost puppy running around campus. But I found out that we have Barrett the Honors College at ASU. So Barrett the Honors College is a residential college community of academically outstanding undergraduates at an expansive and innovative university. So Barrett feels and functions like a small college within a large Research One university with vast resources. You will enjoy distinctive honors-only internships, research, travel opportunities, and a unique honors curriculum that was integrated seamlessly into your ASU degree requirements. So it's technically something that you're adding on to whatever major that you pick. So since I was doing computer systems engineering, I added on the honors track. And with that, I was in smaller classes, focused with other students who were motivated to pursue things based off of their own initiative versus just general ASU with some students who are just there to be there. So it's kind of nice to be around like-minded peers. The difference in the tuition is there is an additional honors college fee of $1,000 per semester. So that can be financed also by scholarships. They have scholarships specifically for Barrett the Honors College. So you just have to apply for them. And yeah, those are available. So looking at the numbers, the undergraduate enrollment at the Tempe campus is 5,854. So definitely a smaller community of people. But across the 5 campuses, like I mentioned, there's about 7,000, over 7,000. But to enroll in Barrett, there's 2 ways that you can do it. There's a lower division and an upper division option. So lower division would be when you initially enter college and you have 4 years to spend there. And then upper division would be you make the choice to join the honors college during your 3rd year. And the requirements for completing Barrett are just slightly different since you have less time being in the college. So I decided to join Barrett and it made my college experience a lot nicer. So.
Right. Okay. So to talk more about my university individually, UMBC is well known for its diverse and inclusive culture. So about 8% of students at UMBC are international students. And one of the great things about UMBC is that they have a program called Global Ambassadors. And these are current international students at UMBC who you can reach out to and send a message to ask them any questions that you might have about going to UMBC specifically. So you can probably just Google UMBC Global Ambassadors or something along those lines, and you'll probably find the page where you can ask them these questions. And it's a really great way to have their firsthand experiences. UMBC is also well known for innovative teaching and learning. So UMBC professors have really engaging ways of interacting with students, and some of them can create their own courses that they teach. So for example, for first year students, we have first year seminar classes, and these are courses that are specifically uh, taught to engage first year students in something different, especially if you're still exploring your options. And one of the classes that I took was called Science Goes to Hollywood. So what we did for that class was we would watch movies for homework, and we would in class discuss those movies and how science is portrayed in media and talk about how science is inaccurately and accurately portrayed in media. And so that was a really fun class for me because I did a lot of science related classes in high school. And so it was really cool to see these different scientific topics that I already knew about and how we could analyze them while watching movies. And it was a fun excuse for me to watch movies instead of doing other classes' homework. So they have very interesting teaching techniques at UMBC. They're also really well known for research across different disciplines. So at UMBC, you can research across many different types of study, not just one. For example, I did research in natural language processing, where I worked with both computer programming, where I did machine learning, and linguistics. So that is why I did an applied linguistics minor along with my major, because it really helped with the work that I wanted to do. Our university also has a program called the Individualized Studies program, where you can actually create your own major. So if you are looking at UMBC and you like the community, but you don't see the major that you want, if you can apply for the Individualized Studies program and you can combine different classes to create a major that better suits what you're interested in, you can graduate with a major that you yourself create and you get to name. So it's a very cool opportunity for you if you're looking for something very unique at UMBC. And then the last thing that they're really good at UMBC is civic engagement. So there is an office called the Center for Democracy and Civic Life at UMBC, which provides students the opportunity to talk to people in their local communities and make change with those people. One of these events that they host is called the Change Makers Dinner, where they serve dinner for students and they invite faculty and leaders in the area to come and have dinner with the students so they can talk about they can discuss what students want to see within the community, whether it's a change or things that they're looking forward to that they want to support with those leaders. And it's a great office to work with if you want to develop your leadership skills as well. I did this leadership program called Strive, and it was a 3-day retreat that we went into the mountains, and it was really cold and foggy and really mysterious. And we got to work with other students and learn about leadership skills and really open ourselves up to figure out what type of leaders we wanted to be. So this is a really great way to like engage with others in your community, especially as an international student at a university where you're maybe not so familiar with the people in around you. This is a great way to get involved in that if you'd like.
Okay, so ASU is well known for the catchphrase slogan #1 in innovation. So that's kind of a running joke on campus is everyone knows ASU as #1 in innovation. So ahead of MIT and Stanford, which were some of the other universities that we had mentioned that have competitive computer science programs. We're number 13 in the US for undergraduate teaching, so ahead of Stanford and Yale. Number 16 in the US for first year experiences. So something CC mentioned before was traditions at universities, and the first year experience at ASU is ranked number 16 ahead of Duke, Harvard, and Stanford. ASU is #1 in the US and top 10 in the world for global impact in research, outward, and stewardship. So ahead of Michigan State, Penn State, and MIT. Can't read this one, sorry. ASU is also considered a top university in the United States based on key indicators including academic reputation, sustainability, employment outcomes, and international research networks. So this is ahead of Georgetown and Notre Dame. And the last one, ASU is the #1 public university in the US chosen by international students, like I mentioned. So this is ahead of University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I'm probably butchering that. UCLA
Okay, I
and
did the same thing.
UC Berkeley. So
Yes.
it's kind of nice to see that even though some of the other colleges do have really nice computer science programs, ASU is a really big competitor with the top schools. So it's nice to see that we still have something to show for.
Awesome. So this is one thing that I wanted to put out there. The UMBC, my university, has an office called the Office of International Students and Scholars, and they provide many opportunities and types of support for international students, including CPT, which is an off-campus work authorization, and OPT, which is their postgraduate work authorizations. And they help you apply for other important documents like your visa, which is a definite thing that you will need, a driver's license if you would like to drive, and even a social security number, which goes along with your ability to work in the United States. So if you are looking, if you didn't know, at most universities, when you have a visa, or I guess at all universities, when you have a J1 visa, you have the opportunity to work on your campus without having to get another special authorization. Sorry, I said J1. I think it's F1. But if you want to work off campus, you have the CPT, which is Curricular Practical Training, which is an authorization that allows F1 international students to work off campus in paid positions. And so this is required, and you can apply for this through the ISSS office. And then if you want to work after graduation, you also will need an authorization to do optional practical training. And students will be able to apply for this as well if you're F1, and this office can help you with those options as well.
That's amazing. And yes, students, you are going to get an F1 visa, which allows you to work 20 hours per week on campus, such as work study. And then definitely the CPT, the curriculum practical training, which allows you to work in the field of your study mostly. So it doesn't have to be a CC school, ask about these options at any schools that you go to, please. It's not just related to CC school.
Yeah, they all offer it, but this is just the office if you were looking at my school.
ASU has a similar office, but it's called International Students and Scholars Center, so ISSC. So there's different acronyms all doing the same job. So yes, look for that when you
100%. Okay. To talk a little bit about UMBC's computer science program, it may be similar to other programs at other universities, but this is just a brief overview. So the types of computer science programs that UMBC provides are minors, which is a smaller program that is similar to the major program, but you will not get a degree in if you have a minor in a subject. So this is taking less computer science classes, but you would still have a background in computer science. The bachelor's degree, which is what most undergraduate students go for, which is your lower level degree. You can also do a master's program, which is your higher education degree. And you could also at UMBC do an accelerated bachelor's and master's combined program where you can take where students can continue on to get their master's in computer science and get credit for classes you took in your undergraduate courses. So it kind of is like your courses will count for both your undergraduate and your graduate degree, so you don't have to take them twice. And then you could also do a PhD program at UMBC as well. And then UMBC, for its undergraduate programs for your Bachelor's of Science, students have the option to take particular tracks, which me and Izzy have already been talking about. And at UMBC, these tracks really just help you narrow down the electives that you would like to take that suit the preferred field that you're interested in. So, like I mentioned, I did the artificial intelligence and machine learning track. I was really interested in natural language processing, which is using artificial intelligence or machine learning to analyze natural languages, which is like English or Czech or Slovak. So if you are interested in doing something similar, maybe artificial intelligence and machine learning might be interesting to you. Or if you're interested in like Chat GPT and all the other AI stuff that's already happening, this is a really interesting track for many people. You could also do data science, which is the more analytical side. If you like looking at numbers and charts and understanding how data is organized, data science, computers or cybersecurity, computer security, what Izzy has already mentioned about security in different fields and especially at bigger companies that need security, need people to manage their security and make sure that their computer programs and websites and all of their data is safe. And then computer game development, which was very unique at my school. If I didn't do artificial intelligence and machine learning, I probably would have done game development because I do sometimes play and watch video games. So if you're interested in that, there is also, if you're interested in game design, there's also a program for that at my school too. And if you would like to look at the different classes that you might take or what your 4 years at my university would look like, we do have something called the 4-year pathways resource. But you can find this for all schools as well in the US. They almost all have different breakdowns of what your experience might look like in the specific major that you choose. So some of the requirements at my university, I don't know if all universities do this, but most of them might. So something unique is that for especially STEM, so technological or mathematic universities or programs, they have gateway courses. And these are courses where you have to pass these lower level courses in order to be considered a full-time major. So at my university, when you apply for computer science or computer engineering or other engineering courses, you come in as a pre-computer science or pre-engineering major, which means that you have yet to be considered a full-time computer science or computer engineering student. So you need to take, at least in the computer science, the three first required courses, which are Computer Science 1, Computer Science 2, and Discrete Structures. And you need to get a certain grade requirement. You need to meet the certain grade. So either a B in Computer 1, a B in Computer Science 2, and a C in discrete structures. And once you pass those classes with that minimum grade, you will then be promoted, so to speak, to a full-time computer science or computer engineering major. So it's really important to try really hard to pass those gateways because that is how you will be that major. And if you are not able to pass those gateways, you can retake them, but you will need to try really hard to make sure that you can complete it the second time around, because if you don't, then you will not be able to pursue that major and you will have to switch majors or choose a different program to study. So a lot of the times if students find that the computer science major is very difficult for them, they might take information systems, which is very similar but is in more of the business realm. So you get a little bit more background in business and it's a little bit less rigorous than the computer science major. And I've also listed a couple other required courses that you might see. My university uniquely has like an ethical class where you have to learn about the ethics of computer science and information technology so that you better understand the user side of things and how your technology will affect the people that use it. But there's some of those classes. And then on the next slide, there are a couple of other different required courses like my school has required math courses, a statistics course, and a science sequence, which is one of the following pairs, either biology, chemistry, or physics, and a lab course. So not super interesting, but in case you're wondering the requirements of the major, it's in more than just computer science courses. Okay. And then this is the list of different electives that we offer. And so this is part of where having a track comes into play, where you see a list of like electives that you can take, some of which apply to different majors. So you can see on the left, the first one is Principles of Computer Security. So if you're interested in cybersecurity, that one would likely be one recommended for you to take because it's relating to computer security. Similarly, if you go towards the bottom where it says artificial intelligence, if you were interested in artificial intelligence, that track might recommend that you take or require that you take artificial intelligence. So you have a lot more choice in your later years for what types of electives you want to take to create a background in the industries that you're interested in.
So Cici, did you have anyone that you could ask about what to choose or what would be the best fit for you regarding the elective courses, or did you just go, or what was the decision process, you know? Because it's a lot to choose from.
Yeah, there are a lot to choose from, and this isn't even the whole list. This is only like the list of some of them, some of them. So, at my university and at most universities, or probably at all universities, you will have some sort of advisor who is there to help you select your classes and give you guidance, and is usually in the major of study or teaches in the major of study that you're in. And so my mentor was well, I actually had two mentors. I had my original advisor and a mentor that I worked with because I was interested in artificial intelligence. And so, highly recommend reaching out to your professors in the classes that you take, even very early on, to make connections and to meet one another because one of my first year professors introduced me to the professor that I did research with, and he was the one who recommended me to do the track that I chose because it recommends classes in artificial intelligence, and there is a natural language processing course that I took under him, and it was a really great way to meet him and also learn about what he does before taking the chance to do research with him. So under the recommendations from the professors is how I made most of my choices for the classes that I wanted to take. And you can also go and ask more specific advisors if you like, because universities will typically assign you like one advisor who is giving you the permissions. But if you know that you want to talk to a specific person about the choices that you're making and you want to work with specific people or in a specific industry, your professors will likely have like those connections as well, so that you can ask them like, hey, which professor does a lot of research with like robotics, and they can recommend you that person and you can have conversations with them even if you don't have classes with them. They're more than willing to help you as professors in the field that you're interested in, and they like working with students who also have that same motivation to reach out to this random person that they don't even know for advice. So that's what I was able to do, and it's really great that I got to meet him because it really helped me get where I am.
Exactly, guys, write it down. Please reach out. Don't be afraid, because that's something that we are not, again, very used to. Like, these teachers are excited to chat with you and are excited to advise you. So you only have to reach out. You're not bothering them. They're happy to help you. So just gather all the braveness in the world and go and ask, and you will be helped and you will be advised in the direction that you are looking for. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to talk about the options at ASU. So we've been talking a lot about computer science, but even if that's not your cup of tea, there are a bunch of other engineering majors. So these are the other schools within ASU that are focused on engineering. So I'm a big advocate for STEM, so go for it if you feel like that's what you want to do. But since we're talking about computer science and computer systems engineering, at ASU, the school that you would be a part of is the School of Computing, Informatics, and Decision Systems Engineering. I think they changed the name and now it's School of Computing and Augmented Intelligence. So this slide's a little bit older, but for my major, computer engineering kind of dips into obviously computing and then a little bit of electrical engineering since it's more hardware based. So the next slide. But this is a major map for the degree that I finished. So it was computer systems engineering with my specific concentration. So what's nice about this is that it shows you all the courses that you would take, and they recommend for the fall semester all the way up 3 or 4 years. So starting out with Calc 1 at ASU, you do have to take a math entry exam, and I didn't realize how important that was. So I actually started out at the low, low, low level of college algebra, but I should have started at Calc 1. So I got to go through summer classes to work up to get back to Calc 1, but I like math, and I think it was probably a better option for me just so I could really learn the basics and fundamentals because they really do build on each other. So the first semester I took Principles of Programming. So I mentioned I took JavaScript. So that's the first coding class that you get. So you jump right in when you are in the major into coding, and uh, these arrows show that that's the class that you need before you take the next one. So for Calc 1, you need to pass that before you can take Calc 2. They recommend that you take Calc 1 before you start physics because the math involved is going to be from Calc 2. So kind of a co-requisite idea there. And then kind of can just see where all of the arrows follow to take different classes. So before you can take differential equations, you have to pass Calc 2. So there's a lot of courses where you do need to make sure you pass them before you can move on to the next one. So we're just looking through here. We have like principles of programming, object-oriented programming, programming for comp engineers. I don't remember that class, but I did take it. Like Cece mentioned, we have a computing ethics class, some data structures and algorithms. So pretty much I have on the next slide the same map for computer science. So this is the one I started out with. For the first 2 years, you're taking the same classes. So it changes at your third year. So you kind of have some time to make the choice if you want to switch your major. But the classes are pretty much the same until your third year. And then with mine, since I was focused on the cybersecurity, you can see there's two choices that I had to make, and most of the map is already filled out for me. So I didn't have to make a lot of choices. But on the computer science track, you have a lot more options to make, but they do kind of give you some guidance for what they suggest to take. But in your senior year, you have lots of options to pick different types of classes with the computer science track. So you can kind of craft it to make your own major map. But I don't really like making decisions. So computer systems with it filled out for me, that was great. So I went with that one.
That's really cool, Matt, and it's really helpful to kind of see what to expect. So this kind of roadmap to graduation. I'm sorry, can you hear that? Okay. This kind of roadmap of to graduation, you can ask for that at the admissions office, or who's going to present you with this chart?
You can just Google it online. It's just called Major
Okay.
Map. And even if you're not interested in computer science, they have it for every major. And it's probably comparable to other colleges if it's easier for you to look at information on a flow chart. For me, I had this printed out and I would X out classes I passed, and it was really nice to get all the way to the end. So just the
Sure.
organization really helped me. So yep, just Googling it, the major and major
Major
map.
map. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. And then at ASU, this is the housing, the dorms for engineering students. It's called Tooker House, and Fulton students live on campus, may live in Tooker House or in the Barrett, the Honors College. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a different part of campus, but doesn't matter. This is where engineers would be living. So you can build relationships outside the classroom, create a strong support system during the college and professional careers, and then connect with student success resources. So the cool thing about ASU is we have a ton of tutoring centers all over the campus. So it's kind of nice. You can kind of find one with people that you like and fits the vibe that you want when you're studying. So lots of options to kind of give you the best environment to study and really hit the books and learn in the best way. And the other cool thing is they have a lot of social activities around the dorms because they know a lot of students are living on campus. And even if you're not living on campus, you can still participate in a lot of the activities that are constantly happening around campus.
Okay. So, some of the clubs and student orgs that UMBC has, there are a lot of them. So I've only listed four. The first one is the Cyber Dogs, or UMBC's Cyber Defense Team. This is a group of UMBC students who share a common interest in computers and network security, and they have weekly meetings during the year exploring all aspects of cybersecurity and network defense. The Cyber Dogs also have a team or multiple teams that compete in national and regional cybersecurity competitions and have won numerous events in recent years. So if you're interested in looking at the Cyber Dogs as a team or even just the club itself, you can Google it. You can see some of the articles they've written about this the team at my school. And if you're interested in like computer security or cybersecurity as a track, they also have lots of events and will host hackathons, which are like basically like competitions that you can work on your coding and hacking skills. And they're really fun to even just get a little peek at what you might do as a computer or cybersecurity programmer. And then the next one is they call it IEEE, or Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. It is a professional association that promotes innovation and technological excellence. IEEE is an internationally known is internationally no I'm sorry, internationally known for its publications, conferences, technology standards, and professional and educational activities. The biggest of those that might be important for students is the IEEE technology standards. They do have a format that they use to write. So I don't know if this is the same in the Czech Republic or not, but in America, when you write papers or like research when you write research papers, you have a specific format that you normally follow. One is called MLA, one is called APA, and then there's also one for computers or for technological fields called IEEE, which is a standard. So you might also be writing in that. They also have other technological standards as well in terms of hardware. And they are a trusted standard for engineering, computing, and technology information. On the subject of hackathons, we at my school have something called Hack UMBC, which is an organization that manages and hosts our annual hackathon at our school. So students and people who would like to participate have 24 hours to learn new skills. You can make friends if you go to the hackathon and you don't have a team. There are tons of other people who go without having any teams, and you can form your own and create some sort of wild idea that you would like to share with the world. So companies will come and present issues that they would like for students to solve, and the students can come up with their own unique and creative ways to solve those issues. For example, you can build a website, work with Photoshop, create a robotic arm, develop a game. It's totally up to you, and you can just try out whatever type of coding experience you would like. And so I personally didn't do the hackathons, but I had lots of friends who did, and they really enjoyed them. Even just the chance to try doing some sort of technological competition was really interesting to people. I'm not so competitive, so I didn't, but it's really great. And then if you're interested in game development, but you don't want to do the track, or if you just have a game that you want help with, we do have a game developers club. And so they not only create great games, but great artists, programmers, and designers. It's a diverse group of students that attracts work as a team to create fun and exciting video games. So what was really interesting to me about this club is that some of the students weren't even computer science majors. They just really liked working with video games on the side. So they would go to the club and bring their little games that they had made with them, and students could help them test run the games or make changes to the games. And it was just a really interesting group of people who really just liked video games. So this is also another interesting club at my school.
Okay, I'm going to talk about some of the clubs in the Fulton School student organization, or the Fulton School student organizations, because ASU has so many clubs, so many in fact, that I didn't really join any because I was kind of intimidated by the fact that there were so many. But once I got some courage, I joined the two on the screen. So I joined the American Indian Science and Engineering Society because I'm Native American. So it's just a club that's dedicated to helping students from various backgrounds, of Indigenous backgrounds, with their academic and career goals to increase representation in the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And then I also joined the Women in Computer Science Club, which is WICS at my school. So it's also dedicated to promoting diversity in engineering, particularly for women in computing. And it was nice to join clubs because you have a support network and a resource to be involved in social and academic and professional development opportunities, as well as networking and community outreach. So those are the two that I was personally involved in. And then I also found Some others that my school offers, so we have the Software Developers Association, so SODA. They're committed to coding, career development, competitions, and community building. I had some friends that were in this club, and I think it was a very large club, which was also intimidating, but I heard good things about it. And then, similar to CC School, we also have an Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, basically doing the same thing as she mentioned previously. So, lots of options to choose from. I would highly recommend joining a club. I wish I had been a little bit more brave when I first started at school because I think it's a great way to meet people involved in different things and just trying new things. I think that's the point of university is putting yourself out there, getting out of your comfort zone, and you never know who you will meet, and building your network is a great thing to do in college. You never know what doors it might open in the future for you, and highly recommend it.
And for you guys who are going to be new at those universities, I remember that I studied at Moravian and there was this club fair, you know, because I also wouldn't know like what to join, who to ask. And there was this huge club fair in the beginning of the year. And there were like these tables and all the students were presenting and giving out swags, you know, and food and stuff. And it was just amazing. And you could just go around and ask and maybe decide, you know, what would you like to join and what are, you know, some things that you have to accomplish before you join. But they were all very welcoming. And I felt like, oh, I want to do it all. And then I saw my schedule. I'm like, no, I can't. But you know, you don't have to do your research just by yourself behind the screen, but look out for those events in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, the one at my school is called Passport. So they
Ooh.
call it Passport because there's so many. So take your passport and walk around and talk to as many people as possible. So they have that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, at my school it's called Involvement Fest. So it's like a really interesting. We call it iFest too, but I never called it that. I just called it Involvement Fest. Okay. So this slide I specifically added because I wanted to show what it was like. So this is a club that I was involved in, very similar to what was it, CWIS or
Women in Computer Science, yeah,
mm,
Wix.
yeah, Wix.
They
That's what it was. Okay, yeah, very similar to Wix. But I think at UMBC it's a very big community of students. So because I knew I wanted to do computer science going into UMBC, I became a part of this Center for Women in Technology very early. And if you don't know that they have living learning communities at universities, which are organizations that host students in their programs that live together in a building or on a specific floor in the university. And so I lived on the CWIT Living Learning Community floor with other students who were in the CWIT program. And the CWIT program is also like a department at my school. So they also will provide students with extra scholarship money. So if you become a CWIT scholar, which I did not because I didn't want the pressure of being a scholar, but I was an affiliate. But with the scholars, they get additional money on top of their merit scholarships to be a student at UMBC. So if you're interested in it and you are a female student in STEM, you could potentially join the CWIT program. But as an affiliate, I was really just involved in the events that they had. I didn't have any like specific requirements that were asked of me, but I got really involved in my CWIT community. So the picture on the top right and the bottom left were two events that I hosted for my students. I was the peer mentor lead last year. And so I hosted events for students in the peer mentoring program in the CWIT community. And so the top one was a masquerade mystery escape room where we all got together and they participated in an escape room and we all had different characters. And my best friend was the person who got killed. And I was like very dramatic about it. So it was very interesting. But it was really fun and the students had a really great time. And you can see we had some really great food. And then on the bottom left was a boba tea sip and paint where they got to drink boba tea that I spent hours making at home and brought and will never do again. But they got to have some boba tea and paint and just have fun together and just hang out with other people in the CWIT program and the mentoring program. And then the bottom left picture is of me and the other scholars and affiliates that were in my cohort that all graduated together. So we had a really nice group picture at in front of the building where we graduated at my university. So highly recommend finding a community of students that you can really be a part of and be engaged in and put yourself out there. And this was the community that was the one that I did that for. So, and specifically related to technology and computer science. Okay, so these are some pictures from me at my university. When I went to university beforehand, I told myself, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna do my classes. I'm not gonna get involved. I'm gonna be lazy. I did so much in high school to get to this point. I'm not gonna do anything. I did not follow that mantra at all. So when I first started my freshman year, I became a tour guide at my university. And I was a tour guide for all 4 years. I was in university, and it was one of the most fun jobs that I've ever had because I was meeting students constantly, both American students and international students. And I met so many fun coworkers. I was a team lead in my office in my senior year, so I was in a leadership role with them. And the top right picture is actually me and my school's president on a tour because my university president for my first 3 years resigned from his job. And so last year they brought in a new president, Dr. Valerie Shears Ashby, and I had the privilege of being chosen to give her her first ever tour of campus the summer. Like almost a little over a year ago. And so that was a picture of me and her rubbing our mascot's nose. And so that's a really big tradition for us to rub his nose for good luck. So rubbing it for good luck for her for the year and also for me for getting through that tour. But it was a really great experience, and I really loved being able to work with other people and other students, which is why I decided to become an English teaching assistant so I could continue working with students. The bottom half or other jobs that I did, so on the left, bottom left, was me and my coworkers coming back from COVID. We were all wearing masks, and I was a resident assistant, so I worked in the dormitories, specifically the apartments on my campus, and helped students. What was really nice about that job is that not only did I get paid to work with students, but they paid for me to live there in the university. So that was money I didn't have to pay for room and board, and they also paid for my meal plan. So I also didn't have to pay extra money to eat on my campus, which was really nice. And then the bottom picture in the middle was me as an orientation leader. And so I got to welcome new students to the university, including international students, and take them around the campus and show them around and introduce them to all of the resources we had to offer. So if you can't already tell, I'm a very big advocate of like UMBC Pride. If you have any questions, I could probably answer most of them. But yes, so this was me and my work experiences at UMBC. And then the next slide is some more fun, not work related pictures of me and my coworkers, or not coworkers, me and my peers. So the top left was I studied abroad the summer before my freshman year as an incoming student. This was a part of our orientation experience where I got to go to the UK and take a class on comparative politics for 2 weeks. So this picture was us with our little like mine hats on because we were going into a coal mine in Wales. So that was really fun. The middle one is on the top was one from Strive, which was the leadership activity or the leadership retreat that I did that I mentioned before. The top right, where you can hardly see our faces, is me and my friends at the bonfire hosted at homecoming at my university. And the bottom right is us at the homecoming with my friend who had her face painted. We also did other things like hosting events and just me in a picture of my friends that I made in college. So that was a little bit about UMBC and all the fun things that I got to do while I was there.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing with my experience at university. So these are pictures of my homework assignments. So lots of hardware I wanted to include because I was so proud of myself when I could get this to program and roll 2 6s, such a big accomplishment. And then this one, getting the 2 lights to light up, it's just nice for me to see that when I have code that looks like this, it actually produces into what the project's supposed to do. This one is an example of part of the cybersecurity track. So this is an application called Wireshark. Basically, we're looking at different IP addresses and doing a lot of fun stuff with that.
Love Wireshark.
Yeah. This is a waveform generator. My favorite class that I had to retake, Circuits 2. Never forget it, but I had to retake it. because it was so difficult for me to understand how to do electrical engineering. So big shout out to anyone who does electrical engineering, but part of my degree program. In this top corner, this is one of the classes I took was engineering projects and community service. So it wasn't a part of my major map, but I used it as a technical elective, and we actually got to travel to Vietnam to test a water sensor for shrimp farmers. So this is a picture of our logo, shrimp farmers. Um, Kind of a fun class. I got to travel abroad with it. This bottom picture is some teachers are really funny and they want to make sure that you're actually in class. So they will make you take a picture with some specific screen. So this was for my statistics class. She always wanted us to take pictures randomly. So I found one that I had. So this is more of the academic fun stuff that happens when you're a computer science or computer systems engineer major. But then to make it a little bit more fun and exciting, I mentioned that I joined Barrett. So Barrett would do special events. And this last year, we were going to a Suns game, so a basketball game, and it just happened to line up with Kevin Durant being drafted to the Phoenix Suns. So we got to see his press conference, which was pretty cool. So super random, but it lined up. Uh, One cool thing about Barrett too is you have a smaller ceremony. So this was my graduation for the Honors College, but I was also a part of the Native American ceremony and then also the general Fulton Schools ceremony as well. As part of Barrett too, I was able to travel abroad and I went to Germany and Switzerland for 6 credit hours, so 2 classes. It was not related to my major. We were reading the book Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and it was so great. So these are some of the people that I see every year. I made lifelong friends studying abroad, and that's why I love to travel. So just some of us together. For my Barrett thesis, so you have to do a creative project or you could do something related to your major. I needed a break from STEM and all that fun jazz. So I did a sustainability project with 2 other girls and we made dorm furniture out of cardboard. So this was our project. We made a little shoe rack out of cardboard. It was super fun. The point was like an ethical circular economy showing you that uh, you can reuse and what's the word? Upcycle is the word that I learned. So turning things into uh, reusable things. So our project was using the cardboard, and then once you used it for your furniture, you could plant a seed in the cardboard and it would grow a plant. So it was really fun. We had a lot of fun with it. This is Pi Day, so 3.14. It's in March 14th. Randomly around campus, you would just see people saying, "Hey, come to this event. You can be a VIP guest," and they would just give you a badge and you would go meet people. So at this event, it was Infosys, which is kind of cool about ASU is there's a lot of companies right around the campus that are trying to attract students who are graduating soon. So they want to introduce you to what their company is all about. So that was pretty cool. So getting an idea of what careers you could have post university. I wanted to also mention some of the internships that I did. So I did an internship that was only 3 weeks with American Express. So it was super fast, super quick turnaround, but I learned a lot from that experience. And then prior to coming to Slovakia, I was interning with the University of Phoenix for 3 months, which is an online college. And this is us. Funny thing is, we're all doing the forks up because we're all ASU students, even though we're working for another university. So it's kind of funny. Um, and then this last picture, this is my coworkers from that internship. And one thing I want to say about being an engineer or working in technology, it's not just sitting behind a computer and coding all day. It's a very, very social job. And I think one of my favorite parts of being at companies and actually seeing what life would be like as an engineer is connecting with the people that I'm working with. And it's great. You meet a lot of interesting people. They're so smart. And then you get jokes because you go through the pain of going through your major map and you're like, hey, we made it out on the other side and we actually know stuff. So it's a really, really good major, and I would highly recommend. If you're interested in it, try it. It is hard, but it's so worth it, and it's so rewarding when you get it to work in the end. So good
The best thing for me
experiences.
is when you have a bug and you need to find that one bug and you can't figure out where it is and you finally find it and it's gone and your program works perfectly and you're like, yes, I did it. It's always that one semicolon though, always.
Always. It really is. It's the funniest thing. Okay.
Okay, so the last couple of things that we'll talk about before the end of this presentation is options after college. So if you are going to university for a bachelor's degree and you're interested in doing more higher education level degree programs, you can choose master's or PhD programs in almost any technological program you want as a computer science major and similar computer engineering as well. So some areas include general computer science, artificial intelligence or machine learning, software engineering, data science, informatics, robotics, information systems, computer vision, and all the rest of the list. So very many different technologically related programs in a field of your choosing. They might have more specific requests, like maybe if you had done anything previously related to that major. But even people who are not interested in majors, like for example, cybersecurity programs, there are some where you don't even have to have a bachelor's degree in computer science to join that cybersecurity program. It just has to be like you have to have a reason to do computer cybersecurity, but you don't even have to have that prerequisite of having a computer science bachelor's degree. So you have lots of options for grad schools at a variety of grad schools. You can there's so many that I could not choose like what to put on this presentation. So these are some of the different programs that you could do, but definitely explore your options. There are hundreds, if not thousands of opportunities to do. And then this is just some jobs that you can get in computer science. So you can work with applications, so like apps on your phone or computer apps. So you could be an application analyst where you monitor and analyze information technology services that relate to applications, looking at data. Application developer, where you create the applications based on whatever requirements you're given. You can work in cybersecurity as an analyst, so looking at companies' data and protecting them from cyber threats. Penetration testing, which is testing and identifying flaws in company computer systems. Forensic computer analysis, which is investigating and analyzing computer-related crimes. So if you're interested in combining not only cybersecurity, but also a criminal background, you could do that. Data science, which is very general. You could work in a data science as a data science analyst for a variety of different companies, and that's just working at their data and helping them improve their business. Software engineering. So if you really like programming and problem solving, you could be a software engineer where you create computer software to solve a variety of problems, or you can do machine learning, which is teaching machines how to learn on their own and working with programming different machines. You can work in video games. So if you like video games, you can be a designer where you work to create prototypes and models for video games, or you can be a developer where you work on the more general aspects of the game and create the whole product overall. And if you are interested in web design, you could be a web developer or a web designer. UX stands for like user experience. So you could also design applications specifically to make the user experience easier. Or you could, like I said, web design or web development, where you create the websites or develop the websites for some company that you would like.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, most of the internships that I had were website based. So we were focusing on aspects of improving the user experience for, like when I was working at University of Phoenix, it was making an interface on the website for students to help them find jobs. So based off of the classes they've taken at the university and the skills that they acquired from those classes to help them navigate the job hunt, which was kind of cool. So I'm not sure if I'll stick with web design. There's so many options for different ways that you can go with uh, a technology background. So I think I'm going to explore other options, but web design is pretty cool. And it's nice because you can actually see the output of what you're coding. So you have like something to see, oh, it's not lining up the way that I thought it would or whatever. So for me, I like to see that what I'm coding actually has an output so that I know how to fix it and work with it. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, easy. Sissy, thank you so much. I mean, I am overwhelmed by all the job opportunities and all about the major map. Like that was super confusing to me. But I am also, I can imagine how helpful it is to really cross out everything that you succeeded and then, you know, seeing yourself progress towards graduation. So thank you so much for introducing computer science and computer system engineering. I think that this was very informative, and I hope that Czech and Slovak students really consider applying to either ASU or sorry, what was the abbreviation?
UMBC.
UMBC. Yeah, I didn't want to. Okay, perfect. So thank you again. It was lovely to have you girls. And guys, if you have any questions, please send me an email to advisor@fulbright.cz, or you can send me a PM under Education USA Czech on social media, on Facebook or Instagram. I am happy to forward your questions to Cici and Izzy in case it's something I cannot answer, which probably there will be many questions I cannot answer. So I'll get you in touch with these ladies. And as you can see, they are experts in what they do, and they'll be happy to connect with you. So thank you for your attention. Thank you, girls, for being here, and feel free to get in touch. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good one.